Hello and welcome to the Audiophile. My name is Ian J. Cole. We are a monthly music and arts radio show focused on local, unsigned, obscure music from across the world. Welcome to the September 2024 edition. On this month's show we've got our yearly Edinburgh Fringe takeover show. Jane and I spent the early part of August reviewing the world's largest arts festival in Edinburgh, Scotland. So we'll be playing snippets of reviews, interviews and music associated with this year's Ed Fringe, along with the usual smattering of left field music. And to kick us off, here is a track from not one but two forthcoming albums that have been in the pipeline since March 2024. The albums are Side 1 and Side 2 Emom York XVII. Both records are live recordings and both will be out on the 6th of September on Sinners Music Records Bandcamp. And here is a track from Side 1. This is Mobius Trip with X Lee Quadrant.
Welcome to the Audiophile.
Good evening, YouTube. It is 10 minutes to midnight. We've just seen our third show, day one. This was, well, I think it was my choice, but we weren't quite sure who would originally come with the idea.
I think I might have spotted it and told you about it.
And this was the history of electronic music.
Really, what the hell was this music? And who the shit biscuits were the prodigy? Why was there a demented cat on my tape? Why did I love it? Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Mum was listening to Radio 2 while boiling all the vitamins out of the cabbage. Why do we need to tweak it like a digital nipple? A digital nipple on the bosom of the goddess of music. A goddess who lactates BPMs. Rhythmic tit mill. I've gone too far, I've gone too far. Simply put, we humans can't help it. It's rhythm. No other animal on this planet dances without being told to, but we do. Tiny children dance. Kids have a terrible taste in music, but they dance without being told to. Tonight, I'm going to look at where it all started. We're going to go back around 40,000 years to where musical instruments started, and we're going to spend a disproportionate amount of time looking at the last 30 years to find out how did I get to the music on that mixtape.
Vinny, a comedian stroke DJ, uses a sampler to travel back through time, raising the hairs on your back of your neck. The first thing I want to say is I did think some of the humour was slightly, how can I describe it, below par.
I didn't like that about it at all. But I don't think we should detract from the main body of it. But no, I personally could have done without all of that. But it's obviously sold. I mean, it is in the comedy section.
It is in the comedy section, yeah.
So, which I was surprised at.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's put that aside.
And I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was 50 minutes. We actually spoke to Vinny at the end, and he said, "Did I learn very much?" And the answer is no, I didn't learn very much. I learned a couple of things, but I found it a very entertaining 50 minutes. So I did enjoy. I mean, it's much more important because you didn't know some of the stuff that.
I didn't know some of the stuff. I didn't know 90% of the stuff.
Because it's much more important what you thought about it to some extent.
I mean, as I said to Vinny afterwards, I am not your demographic with bells on. But having said that, because I take an interest in electronic music, through you, I mean, I had heard of some of the names. I mean, I enjoyed the historical sort of aspect in the sense that he had done his research, and he said, the first recorded sort of musical instrument is this, and then he took it through. And I mean, he did take it through history.
I mean, he didn't cover everything because I think that's quite difficult to do anyway. But he didn't just go from that in the bone flute through to the guitar. I mean, he did try and sort of slot bits in between, which I found really interesting. I was really worried that he wasn't going to mention Kraftwerk, but he did mention Kraftwerk. It was quite late on in the day. But actually, I was sort of thinking, you can't cover the history of electronic music without at least mentioning Kraftwerk, and he did.
I mean, and then obviously it moved into sort of full-blown electronic music, and the specific sort of focus was electronic dance music, which I have even less knowledge and, I'll be honest, interest in.
Yeah.
But he only just played sort of samples. But he told it in quite an interesting way, because he told it again from, the title of the thing is The History of, and he did talk about it and put things in context, and picked out things that particular bit from that particular record then got sampled and was responsible for, and he then mentioned other bits of music of records obviously that I know, and they were the influence for this particular track. So I mean, I wasn't bored. I mean, you know, and the snippets of the music that isn't my thing, but that doesn't matter, were so short that you couldn't be, you know, you couldn't sit there and think, oh God, let this end, because it just wasn't like that. So, I mean, I genuinely, you know, found it quite interesting.
Yeah. You mentioned a band actually, which I have forgotten, who play electronic music using 1930s instruments. Now I didn't know that, and I am going to search.
Now that sounded really interesting.
He played a little bit, and actually, considering they're using 1930 instruments, it didn't sound that.
Didn't, did it?
So I'm definitely going to look that up, and I didn't know anything about that. So I mean, that was one of the things that I did learn. So here we are, day 2, the Ian and Jane show at Edinburgh Fringe. This is our 3rd review of the day.
Yes. 1, 2, 3,
So
4, 5.
this
Yes.
was
Yes.
the reason we've had 3 shows that are back to back, and we've done lots of running, but more about that in the future. So this was 3 o'clock this afternoon. This was Orchestra of Sound. Here's the description. Experience a groundbreaking musical spectacle. The international premiere from Canada is an electrifying one-man show, seamlessly weaving unique, inventive instruments, hundreds of sounds and explosive original music into an unforgettable sonic and visual extravaganza. What did you think about it, before I say what I thought about it?
I can't remember a show where I just sort of sat there with a big grin on my face and just felt really uplifted from the beginning. I mean, because he showed, and I don't want to give too, there are some things that we mustn't give away.
No spoilers.
No, but it began with a film playing, and he used the film quite a lot to, and just him playing. I mean, you name it, he played it, and it was absolutely brilliant. And so it built up this layer of the composition, and then he came on, and then played a sort of an overriding sort of piano stroke electronic, piece over the top, was it? Well, more of a piano piece, and it was terrific.
I mean, I thought the first piece of film, and when he came out, I was like you. I felt sort of blown away by it. I wanted to know more about how he made the instruments. I mean, he did tell us a little bit about some of the instruments that he'd made, but for me there wasn't enough of that.
Oh right, okay.
And I was fascinated by but I wanted to know more about the instruments and how he made them. I also wanted to know more about the technical stuff about, was it just those sounds that he made, or did he process them? Because if he processed them, then that changes. If you've hit the fuselage of an aeroplane, we're not giving much away because that's literally the first shot. So if you hit the sound of the fuselage of an aeroplane, but then you process it, you can almost turn it into something else. And I wanted to know whether it was just those raw sounds or whether it was processed, or how much it was processed.
I mean, that of course never crossed my mind.
No.
I mean, you saw him recording these sounds because he'd hit whatever it is, and they'd have a little handheld recorder, so you knew that he was recording that sound. But of course, I didn't appreciate that. Yes, I mean, I understand if you then process that, you can turn it into anything. Well, from my limited knowledge, it appeared a lot of it was just the original sound, but I don't know.
I've never hit the side of a plane fuselage though, which I must say I'd like to try and do at some point in the future. And it was an abandoned plane. It looked like
you're spoiling the surprise.
All right, I'm not saying anymore.
You're spoiling the surprise.
It's only the first 2 seconds, isn't it?
I know.
Right.
But it was,
You're listening to the Audiophile Radio Show.
She's day 2, show 5. And this was...
Super second rate.
Yeah. Do you want to read the description bit?
So this is a lady called Leah Koloff, storytelling and live music. Her father... Oh, sorry, I'm reading from the wrong place. While clearing out her family home, Leah discovers a letter her father wrote suggesting she lacked what it takes to become a professional musician. But cellist Leah Koloff just won a Grammy and has played alongside the greatest names in contemporary music, from David Bowie to Debbie Harry.
It's a one-woman show. It was quite nice that she was playing music, and I have to say, I mean, being was on the front row, but sitting really close to, I mean, clearly an incredible musician, because the way that she played the cello,
it looked effortless.
Yeah, I mean, she started playing cello at 6, and she talks about that and about the first cello that she had and things like that. But actually, just sitting there watching her play.
Well, I was watching her, her hands, obviously. But I mean, she was sort of hardly touching the strings, and then watching her bow action. But yet the sound that was coming out, you're thinking, but how is she doing that? Because she's hardly moving, and yet the difference, the subtlety, and she played some sort of introduction bars to very famous pieces, and you're thinking, wow,
sounded amazing.
I'm listening to something that's world class here.
Poppin' wheelies, circles on the street, electrical tape covering your feet, poppin' wheelies, circles on the street, electrical tape covering your feet, circles of silver, hold your souls on, circles of silver, hold your souls on. Thin hips, long hair hangs down to your shy front teeth, covering your eyes of secrets and silence, secrets and silence, secrets and silence. You race down the street, climb a hill of your making, fly into the air, hang twisted from the sky. Blue robe, the color of morning, washcloth on your head to dance ones. Oh, the stray ones are my favorite ones. The ones that got away, it's most comfortable that way. Circles of silver, hold yourselves on. Circles of silver, hold your souls on. How many stink teeth stuck white in century rows might someday stand down?
4 of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival for us. We're Ian and Jane.
Hi.
Guess which one's which?
Sorry, I'm being very rude. I'm trying to get rid of something.
Yeah. First piece of the day, which was Oran. This was your choice, wasn't it, Jane?
It was.
Yeah. Do you want to read the
I do. There's actually a lot more online than there
is
was
in the book.
I mean, I'm just going to read you, if I can indulge, because this, this was enough to get me. Contemporary new writing, combining spoken word, lyrical storytelling, and a pulsating electronic live score. Thinking of him.
Yeah, thank you.
This is the thrilling story of Oran and his journey to rescue his best friend from the underworld, created by acclaimed Scottish theatre company Wonder Fools, creating an urgent, entertaining, modern retelling of the classic Greek myth Orpheus.
No, I don't know I don't know the whole of the story.
We have
Orpheus.
no signal up here. I didn't know that, but I recognised from the description and then the retelling that this was a retelling.
I miss you. It's new here without you. The autumn is still nice and fresh, but I like it less without you. Yeah! If this line is that long, I'll do it. If this line is twice this long, I will do it. But will this line ever stop? Will I have to walk until I wear my feet off? Will I ever find you? There are 3 stops on this journey. 3 stops before you're downstairs. Deep downstairs. Oh, we would love to have you.
Hello, my name is Rowan. I've been working as one of the composers on Oran. Myself and Stuart Ramage and Ben Dean have been working on the show as composers and musicians and working on the technical side of the music. So we started off knowing that this show was going to be a one-man show, and Robbie, the main protagonist, has been launching all the sounds as he's going and taking us to each world with a different soundscape. So we had to set up a station for him to work from and something that would be quite easy for him to use. Robbie used to be a musician when he was younger but hasn't done it in a while, so kind of like teaching him how to use the controller, and then we've been making sounds and putting them into the controller so he can launch them as he's going down. We start off in the upper world with Oran, and when we introduce Oran's theme, they sound very organic, and as they go down each level they're turning more electronic, and so is the score. So you'll hear a lot of themes at the start, and then as they progress down, they change to be more synth-based and electronic and distorted.
If I can talk about the music element first, and then we can obviously talk about the prose. I thought, it's a one-man show. Quite funny. Before he even started, because he got some of the audience to do things like draw a wolf, and then it was pinned up on the line held by 2 other members. Somebody was playing his mum, and he was playing on an Ableton Live Push, which is connected to a computer, but he's playing the live score while he's retelling.
Oh, well, I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah,
Wow.
so and at one point he did actual program
Did he?
A sequence, he did.
Oh, right. Wow.
So that in itself, and while everything else is going on around him, is quite phenomenal, really.
Because he spoke mostly in I say rhyming couplets, but he's not just talking. He's remembering.
Yeah.
It's a very complex language. So the fact that he was doing that as well.
Yeah, and part of it comes across as poetry, part of it comes across as hip-hop, almost.
There were bits,
And it's the first thing that I think I've seen where there's a definite real crossover between hip-hop and poetry in that sense. And I thought that was absolutely incredible.
I'm sitting here, I have to confess, because we've literally just come out, feeling quite stunned by it all. And in fact, Ian just said as we started, how do we review that?
Yeah. And I think the way we review it is by saying go see it. I think you have to see it.
There's so much that I don't want to say because all I can say is it is a complete immersive experience.
It is.
Love to have you.
This is the second show that we've just seen of day 4, and this was Chris Taverner is Faking Cool.
Watch Chris Taverner battle his intrusive thoughts through the medium of witty satirical songs. Will it work? Not likely.
Thank you very much. Thanks, man.
I thought his songs were really good, very
good.
funny.
Very funny.
His piano playing, he played piano.
You're not doing very well today.
It's been a long day. Although we've only seen 2 shows, it's still been a long day. I thought his guitar playing was absolutely excellent, and lots of different
even
styles.
to my untrained eye, it was jolly good.
Yeah, it wasn't
was
just
all the different.
It wasn't just strumming. There was lots of different patterns going on there. He was very competent.
Some very complicated things going on with this hand.
Yeah, and I thought he was he's very personable. I liked him.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's a bit like, you know. I mean, I'm not minimising it. He did what says on the tin. And I quite liked the pre-recorded sort of thoughts that were going on in his head.
Yes.
That was interesting. No, I mean, it worked. It did work. And he got, interaction with the audience, and even some members of the audience improvised.
Yeah, they were singing
by sort of doing a chorus, but singing along with their phones lit, which he hadn't asked for. So that was quite nice.
There was a bit of a sing-along element to it, which I was less keen on for some reason at the moment. I didn't really feel like I
But-
wanted to join in with
but
that.
it-
But
yeah.
that's not taking anything away from the show. I thought it was funny. I appreciated it. It was
Yeah.
good.
But I like, because he'll sort of set up a song and you're thinking, this isn't going to be quite what, what's it going to be about? And, the elements he picked were funny.
There were,
Yeah.
and very clever lyrically.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always amazed at how creative and people can be.
Audiophile, the arts music show for robots.
day 5 at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. So first show of the day, and we've worked out that it was actually my choice, although I thought at the beginning it was Jane's choice, but it was my choice. And this was Edge of Time. And I'll just read you the little bit of synopsis. 2 women, 2 different decades, both on the edge, inspired by the book A Woman on the Edge of Time by Jeremy Gavron. We are sent back in time to the 1960s and immersed in the dream world of original music as we live through the moments in the life of feminist pioneer and leading sociologist Hannah Gavron. Edge of Time is a haunting exploration into the power of hope and the life-affirming journey of breaking free.
Mother, where did you go? Lover, your spirit races on the wind. My daughter, you left the world because of the unlivable situation. The unlivable situation still persists. Mother, I couldn't know. Lover, your heart could not be held. My daughter, you left the world because of the unlivable situation. The unlivable situation still persists. The unlivable situation. The unlivable situation still exists. You're a bird, graceful and free, no longer captive. In between the seams, it's in the fabric. Remembering our dreams, we're on the edge of time. One day we'll arrive, we're on the edge of time. My darling will survive, we're on the edge of time. So here Mother, my broken hope. Lover, you're strong inside my brittle bones. My daughter, you closed your door because of the unlivable situation. The unlivable situation still persists. Mother, you changed your path. Lover, your fighter soul, it carries me. My daughter, you've left your mark on us. The unlivable situation. The unlivable
fairly early on twigged that it was that Hannah was real, and that then gave me I think to know that she was a real person changes the perspective of the whole piece. Certainly for that first song, I didn't feel that, but as it went on and realising that she was real, it gave it a different feel for me completely. And as it went on, enjoy's the wrong word, but I certainly thought it was I thought her performance was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great
I mean, she dances and sings at the same time, which is always slightly challenging, I think, for any singer or an actor. But her performance, I thought, was absolutely captivating the whole time.
Yeah, she was very watchable.
She was incredible, really. But I thought it was an incredible piece of work, really.
Okay.
I didn't start feeling that at the beginning, in that first song, but as it went on, I did actually change my opinion of it.
Okay. I mean, as bits of her story were revealed, and especially, she's remembered for this sociological study that she did.
It's a thesis, isn't it? Yeah.
It was a thesis. It became published.
It's not on here. It's called
It was the captive
wife. Yeah.
And I mean, it's made us look her up, and I will look her up even further because I'm interested.
There is a Wikipedia page on her, which I'll put in the description down below if anybody's interested in looking a bit more about
it's certainly somebody I've never heard of, and I'm interested to know, her work because it was highly regarded, sadly posthumously.
How many stars?
It's a 3 from me.
I started thinking it was a 3, but actually I am going to give it a 5 because I really, as I warmed up to it, I thought it was a phenomenal piece of work. I didn't start thinking that, but certainly by the end of it, I was very moved by the whole thing. I thought, and her performance is absolutely mesmerising.
You're listening to the Audiophile Show.
And this is day 5, show 2.
2.
Yes, and this was the sound of the space between. So, in the darkness of grief, a man hears something called something or someone is reaching out, but why now? And from where? Desperate for answers, he follows the sound deep into the space between. But the rules are different here, and time is running out. Able to manipulate a sea of sounds around him, can he piece together the truth before it's too late? What would we say to the people we've lost? A sonic adventure into the unknown using live sound manipulation technology as a gateway to the world beyond. And I think it was the sonic adventure element of this that attracted me to it. What did you think?
I mean, I appreciated the build-up of all the sounds. I did find it a bit intrusive, the amount of fiddling about.
With the pedals, he had a small pedal board with.
But to be fair to him, I think it's Harry. He did, and I quite liked, Harry. I did like the way that he explained what all the effects did at the beginning, because that was
quite useful.
That was quite refreshing, actually. So people sort of knew what kind of effects to expect. And I mean, this is obviously only from my point of view. I mean, I found that a bit intrusive into the sort of the sound, the
soundscape.
Immersive sound that he was, creating, because that was obviously a major part of it, and the sounds he created were very, very atmospheric.
I mean, I felt that the soundscapes that he created were brilliant, really, to some extent, in the fact that the way he used his voice with loopers and all of that sort of things, and he played bits of guitar and. Because he built up these real, we keep calling them soundscapes because that's what they are, and I think I found that fascinating.
It starts with a sound. A sound like music. Coming from somewhere. Coming from someone. A sound like a hand, reaching out, asking to be taken. And there's a voice. A voice. Almost imperceptible but undeniable, a voice and a plea. Find me. Find me.
We're Ian and Jane, we're doing the Edinburgh Festival Fringe 2024, and this is show 3 of day 5, and this was Dear Annie, I Hate You.
And it is based on a writer-performer Sam Ipima's life. Dear Annie, I Hate You is the story of Sam and her brain aneurysm, Annie. They share the rational, irrational, nihilistic and liberating experiences of what it's like to be told you're going to die aged 20.
Now, I don't want to give too much away from this.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult for us to do that. Let's talk about this. Yeah. We can talk about the set to some extent because we had lots of I say lots of TVs. There was probably about six or seven TVs.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. And as we came in, Sam was laid out on what looked like it's actually a white box, but you know, it could have been a gurney in a hospital, couldn't it, really? With the TVs, and the TV showed things from her childhood as things progressed, really. And all the way through that, the multimedia element is clearly very key to the whole thing. And like I say, we don't want to give too much away because it's really important that you see this without knowing too much about it, and that's the problem.
I mean, basically, she builds up episodes, you know, of her young life, life when she was little and growing up, and you know, talks about all the things that she used to like, you know, the rest of her family. You actually see
the family
on all the TV
screens
screens
at certain times. It's like she'll have a conversation and her dad or a mum or a brother would pop up and have that conversation.
Then we have them. So from that point, things become pretty amazing. And it visually, it is one of the most stunning things I've seen. Sam is obviously playing herself, which is pretty incredible. She is an amazing actress.
She's absolutely fantastic.
And just the way the story is told
now
is incredible.
You could argue that, you know, going to see something about somebody who's got a brain aneurysm sounds really depressing.
Yeah.
This is incredibly funny at times.
Yeah.
It's I mean, and there is no way on earth that you would say this is a depressing piece of theatre.
It is a true story.
It's a true story. You know, this happened to Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to say that, really. I mean, I was in tears, so I don't mind admitting at the end. I was absolutely in tears. I thought it was very, very moving, very heartfelt, brilliantly funny as well. You know, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And you know, when we actually come to do our top 5 things of the 2024 Fringe, I'm thinking at the moment it's already there.
I agree.
You know.
I agree.
So I don't think we should say anymore.
No,
because
it's really
difficult. All we would say is go see it. You have to see this.
It's incredible.
You have to see this.
It's an incredible piece of theatre.
Yeah. And I'm amazed at how they've done the multimedia elements with all the TVs and the way the set is, and you know, it's just a phenomenal piece of work. And it's worth mentioning that they don't get much turnaround time, because we actually were in the same room 20 minutes before for another piece, so they don't have long to set up whatever you've got to do in the room.
Exactly.
And they did say at the end, we've got to take it all down really quickly, you know, and they obviously had to do that. So however they did all of that is it's a feat of magic to some extent, you know.
But it's an experience.
It's an experience. You have to go see it. How many stars?
5.
Oh, it's definitely a 5. If we could give more, it would be. Everything's out of 5 stars here. So it is definitely one of the best things we've seen.
A fantastic theatrical experience.
Yeah. this is day 8, show 1. Yeah, first show of the day, and this was at Greenside, and this was George Street, and we've been struggling to find somewhere to actually film our little review, and
So we are at the National Portrait Gallery on Queen Street in Edinburgh, and they have really, really kindly let us into their sort of educational children's space, which is being set up for a new exhibition.
So if you're coming to Edinburgh for the Fringe, make sure that you actually come here, and I've been here before on other Fringes. It's a fantastic gallery. Yeah. It's a fantastic space.
Yes, yeah, we have been here.
It might be a bit echoey, but we can't do anything about that. Yeah. But anyway, so we saw Radium Girls.
Which, shall I read?
Yeah, read a little bit.
So it's the King's Company drama. In 1926, radium was a miracle cure, and luminous watches the latest rage until the girls painting them fell desperately ill. Inspired by a true story, King's Company present this thrilling and powerful ensemble piece.
Now the King's Company, it doesn't say in there, but the King's Company are a young Cambridge theatre group.
Yes, that's right, because they said that at the end.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was brilliant.
All right, okay.
I did. I thought they did a fantastic job in depicting the story.
Yeah.
You know, as so often in history, something's been discovered. It then consequently turns out to be not quite. I mean, obviously, radium. You know, that it does have its place in medical history, but obviously there were a lot of other things, bad things, that were associated with it, and this illustrated that. And you know, how many times in history have the little person been up against a big corporation?
Yeah, and they portrayed that really well. I thought the opening, I thought the set, and they sort of moved these sort of large boxes around, but the sound of like a Geiger counter and the use of light and the use of boxes and the whole set actually, because there's quite a reasonable amount of people in the cast.
Yes.
It was very menacing right at the beginning, which I thought was actually brilliantly done actually. I did think some of the actors were better than others.
Yes.
I thought that the girl playing Grace was exceptional.
Yes,
I thought she was. And actually one or two of the other actors with her were of the same sort of calibre. They're a young company, so those actors that maybe weren't quite as good are going to grow as actors. I think really that's the best thing you can say.
I mean, we saw another young cast recently, and I mean, it's fantastic that there are, these theatre groups, vibrant theatre groups, putting on pieces that include so many people, and it's such an experience to give them, of a production. I think it's wonderful. You had women playing men because obviously it was. And you've got
young people playing older people, which worked to a greater or lesser degree purely and simply because of their age, really. But it was done with. I mean, they had these fantastic, quite inventive grills which they hung bits of things on,
like that.
And these great big boxes, which was all to show us the danger of radium, which worked brilliantly well. So whoever designed the set did an amazing job, and I mean, and the whole cast worked really well with what they had. Yes, there's a bit of moving boxes around, which sometimes that sort of thing can irritate you. I didn't feel that was a problem.
I thought because there was only the two boxes, I thought they were used quite effectively. And I really liked. I mean, the fact that these sort of cages were like edged with this green. That
actually changed colour at certain times as well for different things that were going on.
So you've got the Geiger counter.
elements.
which was really menacing
It
when
was.
it appeared, because you thought,
Yeah.
you know.
So, and all the way through, you were reminded of the dangers of radium. I thought right the way through the piece. You know.
And it's another in the vein of, you know, the Erin Brockovich film, where, you know,
yeah.
somebody latches onto something and they fight all the way, and it you know, it did depict that.
Yeah, it did
people
really
hiding
well.
things and trying to,
the
you know, lengthen the court case so that, you know, most of the people who were suing were dead.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, a really important piece of history.
I agree. Yeah.
That needs to be talked about.
This is Ian and Jane do the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. If you've not seen this before, there's nearly 30 videos on the channel, all reviews, a lot of them 5 and 4 stars, a few 3s. And this is show 3 of day 8. And this was the hippie from Grimsby. Now, we spent most of the day at the Green Side in George Street, and we found their press lounge, and we were having a cup of tea, and this gentleman came in and we just started chatting, and he was Braden, not
Bryden
or Brendan or
Braden.
Yes, Braden Kerr. And he is doing a show called The Hippie from Grimsby. And I said, you really are from Grimsby? He said, yes. I said, I'm from York. We said, we're not that far away. We're only an hour away from each other. And then we were trying to find a time when we could actually go and see Braden's show. And actually the only time we could go and see it was tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone. How are we? Very loud. Make more room. As you can see, I've come dressed as somewhat. Basically, if you ever do acid on a golf course, this is just sit loads of there. You know what I mean? How was your swing, man? We're all swinging in our own way, bro. I'll tell you a little bit about me. My name's Braden. My friends call me Braid. My dad calls me a disappointment. But he hasn't seen me in 25 years, so. Because he's blind. No, he's not blind. But me and my dad have been on this juice diet recently. Basically, we do 3 juices a day, for like however long. You don't eat anything else. It's not very pleasant, it's not very nice. It's going to be like a lose weight kind of thing. I said to my dad I was going to do 5 days. He said he was going to do 10. So my dad's an ex-Marine, so he's a very disciplined man. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. Thank God he's not a pedo. So he'd be pretty good at it if he said he was. But when you become single, it kind of opens your eyes to new experiences. So I had my first I nearly had my first gay experience, and then my brother woke up. Me and my brother are quite close. Well, we used to be close. There's only so many times you can swing your cock in your brother's face, but we don't want to see you anymore. In my experience, it's just the once. I think I'm going to try again, unfortunately. So.
A comical blend of balanced chaos and aligned lunacy. The stories of a modern-day hippie, a funky wizard, a professor of funk, but most of all, an insanely wild and must-see comedian.
So, it's very difficult to describe the show, really.
Yep.
I mean, he's got lots of props all around him. There's a flip chart with some stuff on. And, I mean, what did you think about it?
Well, I don't think I've ever met anybody with so much energy.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
As Braden has got.
Yeah.
And he was just so positive about everything. Yeah. I mean, though he did confess to having moments where he was stretched.
Yeah.
But Namaste helps him.
Yeah.
And he had written, and I was trying to remember some of the words on the flip chart. But basically, at all point I can't.
No.
It boils down to positive energy. And that's his philosophy in life. And he just talked and bounced.
And made us laugh.
Made us laugh.
It was a very, I mean, sadly for him, it was a very small audience.
Yeah.
I think there was 5 of us,
We had
I think
5 of us on front row and then 2 people
yeah,
in the back.
yeah. So there's about 7 in
of
all.
us.
Yeah.
And apparently he'd said he'd only had 4 yesterday, which was a shame.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think he deserves much bigger audiences than that, because I did really. I laughed quite. I laughed a lot, actually.
Yeah, I did.
And what I really liked was he was very adaptable. I mean, we had interaction with us on the front row. There was about 5 of us on the front row, and we swapped names and things like that. And he'd ask us questions. But he was very adaptable to change, to think when things were slightly maybe going to fall flat. And not all of his jokes hit home.
No.
Can't say I liked every joke.
No.
Some of them, and I did think once or twice that maybe you should change that little bit. I mean, there were little bits. I'm not talking about changing, lots of it. But he'll know the bits that didn't quite hit home.
Because he almost sort of said things and said, "Ooh," like that.
And he did. He did. I mean, he was doing a bit on Star Wars, and he said to me, and he was talking about the Phantom Menace being the best film ever. And I'm going like, "Oh no!" And we had a bit, and it was really quite funny. We had a bit of a dialogue about the fact that we like the original Star Wars movies, and he likes the prequels.
The time went incredibly quickly. I mean, didn't slow. The pace just kept up, and it was interesting.
And I thought he was really good. I really liked him.
Yeah.
This is day 9 and show 1. This was Frankenstein on the Budget. Now, we picked this because I don't know if it was last year or the year before, and this is by Lamp House Theatre. We saw Lamp House Theatre's other show, which was War of the Worlds on the Budget, and I don't think you can have as much fun, any more fun with cardboard than they did.
It's Frankenstein on a budget, Frankenstein on a budget, on a budget, on a very small budget. Frankenstein on a budget, Frankenstein on a budget, on a budget, on a very small budget.
One man, one monster, one glorious dream to single-handedly tell the most famous horror story of all time. And absolutely no budget whatsoever. Featuring one actor, not quite, an epic soundtrack, some decidedly dodgy backdrops, definitely, lots of weather-based puns, plenty of cardboard, props, and more hats than you can throw a stick at. This is comedy, musical, hammer horror homage, try saying that when you're drunk, that you didn't know you needed. So this is Tom and Becky. Becky does narration and
very important role.
and has a costume, and she and I mean, what did you think?
I thought it was great fun. Great fun. Yeah, I mean, obviously we went because we'd enjoyed the previous show so much, and you know, we know the show.
Yeah.
We know
what to expect.
We know the book.
Yeah.
But that, you know, and actually, I think you do need to know the book or what it's based on, because otherwise you don't get the jokes.
That's right, because I mean, there's a couple of times that Igor turned up, and then Becky from the back would shout, "He's not in the book," which is quite,
you know, and sort of, but it's just so creative and inventive, and very funny, and actually really ingenious.
Yeah.
Some, I mean, I don't want to give away but in a way, I don't think he'd mind. But you've got the costumes which are half and half, and lots of cardboard travel effects.
Yeah.
And some actually quite ingenious. You know, involving sort of one scene against another. I'm just thinking black on black to create a bigger scene. It's difficult to without.
It is actually. It's almost impossible to actually explain.
But you know, but all the props are there that are needed to tell the story.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a big budget film.
And it's music. I mean, so what I didn't say was that it comes under theatre, musical comedy adaptation, and actually the musical comedy element is the songs. And I think I said this about the War of the Worlds. The songs that Becky and Tom write are absolutely spot on. Yeah. They're very funny. They are clearly intrinsic. They're needed in the actual storytelling, and they're good songs.
And, you know, the humour, the lack of a budget, that apart, the story, they tell the story, the sadness and the poignancy of the story is all there.
But even if you don't come and see this show, and they do tour, go and see Lamp House Theatre Company, because they are absolutely fantastic. They're a very small budget. They're very small. There's only the two of them in the theatre company.
They do what it says on the tin.
Definitely.
It's Frankenstein on a budget, Frankenstein on on a budget, on a budget, on a very small budget. Frankenstein on a budget, Frankenstein on a budget, on a budget, on a very small budget.
Day 10, show 2. It's about 10 past 11, 5 past 11 in the evening. We couldn't film this review earlier because we went to this show, which was Etty ... in transit, and then we had to dash out to Tynecastle Park, which is a football stadium. You wanted to read?
Yeah, I'm going to read from the programme
Rather than just the standard details.
Yeah. So Etty in Transit charts the journey of two lives that interweave throughout the play. Sam Edwards is a mature fashion model who, as an ambassador for mental health awareness, vlogs to her followers during the first lockdown of 2020. She has mental health problems and quickly spirals into depression due to the pandemic. Isolated in her flat, she discovers the diaries of Etty Hillesum and begins to devour them.
Now, Etty Hillesum is a real person.
Yes. And her diaries are written during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands between 1941 and 1943.
We'll talk about where the play was first.
Yeah.
It was at the old St Paul's Church, and it was an inventive use of the space because we thought it was going to be in the actual main
nave and
of the church,
body of the church.
Yeah. It was, that was just the holding area. Then we went through it. It's a smaller room. There was about 15 or 16 of us. It would accommodate no more than 30. It's sort of in the round, but it was a longish room.
It was a side chapel.
And there was 2 screens at either end.
Yeah, sorry, and I wrote notes in the taxi between the two because I knew it was going to be a while before we did this. Yeah, it's a chronicle of the Jewish treatment that starts. Talks about her relationships with men. But she had a very positive view of life all the way through it.
Etty we're talking about.
Yeah, Etty. And I'm just going to read you a couple of things quotes from her diary that are in here, which I think illustrate it. So, something else about this morning, the perception very strongly born that despite all the suffering and injustice, I cannot hate others. And then another short one. Against every new outrage and every fresh horror, we shall put up one more piece of love and goodness. And she spoke, her dialogue. I'm not saying she spoke all the time like that, but I think those illustrate her outlook on life throughout it. She always thought that, that there was hope all the way through it. There is... Yeah.
It's a difficult piece.
Yeah.
Because of the subject matter, really.
Yes.
I think I found it very moving, the whole thing, really. Particularly the last 20 minutes. It's an hour and 20 minutes in total, is the whole thing.
Yeah, and there's a rather lovely sort of gesture at the end.
I don't think you should what it is.
No, I'm not going to say what it is.
But it is a nice gesture. It's lovely. It's very poignant at the end. It's very moving.
So the whole thing has been thought through, and it's an interesting, the parallel lives, and they're also interweaved, especially as it says in the programme.
Yeah.
That the contemporary figure of Sam is an older person, and she's an ambassador for a mental health charity.
A really, really good piece. So it's 4 stars from me, in fact, from Jenny.
Yeah. No, I think they should be applauded.
Yeah.
For it.
For it, yeah.
Something else about this morning. The perception, very strongly born, that despite all the suffering and injustice, I cannot hate others.
Hello.
Good evening.
This is Ian and Jane. And this is our final review of Edinburgh Fringe 2024.
Yeah, so we've done, this is day 12.
Yeah.
We've seen, I think, over 40 shows down there. I'll count them up at some point. But
yeah, so
it's tinged with sadness, not for the review, but for the fact that we'll be going home tomorrow. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So this was called, Ian's going to read it out, but it was called Wondering Why, How Slade's Drummer Survived.
I mean, the Wondering Why seems, it's spelt.
Well, I think it's a play on the fact that how Slade, you know, some of their song titles was, you know, COZ was C-O-Z.
But certainly if you put Slade into the Edinburgh Fringe webpage or the app, it comes up with the actual, you know, you'll be able to find it because it's the only show on the Fringe that involves Slade. So, and obviously it's a true story because it's in the summer of 1973, Slade drummer Don Powell was involved in a devastating car accident which instantly killed his girlfriend and left him with brain injury that resulted in severe and lasting memory loss. Wondering Why tells the story of how a 26-year-old man at the height of the band's fame fought courageously to get back behind his drum kit and rebuild his life. This is a gripping, emotional and uplifting solo performance by writer-actor Ian Pace, who worked closely with Don Powell to create... I didn't know that, actually, I hadn't read that. Worked closely with Don Powell to create the story. So we know it's true.
Well, that's interesting because that isn't...
Is that not in there?
No.
So all we had on stage was a drum stool, a snare and a pair of drumsticks, really. And it was just a black stage.
Everything's going well for Slade. 17 consecutive top 20 hits and 6 number ones. It's fantastic. In July of that year, they play in front of 18,000 people at Earl's Court. Don Powell, lost in a dream of nothingness, now stares at a blank wall and strange machinery. None of this makes sense.
Hi people, Don Powell here. I just want to make you aware of this incredible play that Ian Pearce has written called Wondering Why. It's about the problem I've had with amnesia since that horrendous car accident I had in 1973.
We better get somebody in. We can't do it without Don. It's just for the 2 shows, Noddy. Well, are you thinking of getting in? Ginger Baker, Ringo Starr, Keith Moon. We're a family. We come as a 4 with Slade. It ain't going to work.
And Ian came out and played all the characters. And I thought that... I mean, I remember it happening because I was a Slade fan. So, I couldn't have told you, the fact he'd driven his Bentley into a wall, and that's exactly what happened. I'd forgotten that, but I knew he'd had a devastating accident, and it took him some time to come back, because I remember from interviews of seeing him and actually seeing him in Slade in Flame, which is a really good film to see, actually, about the music business. And I remember being quite pleased that Don was, he seemed like his old self to some extent. Okay. I remember that. See, that's the film. I thought it was a fantastic piece, really, how he played all the characters.
It was quite illuminating, actually.
You know, and the thing I took away from it, not giving too much away with that, because we want you to actually come and see it rather than relay the ins and outs of the whole piece, was the thing I got from it, how, you know, the members of Slade, the 4 members and the roadies, because, you know, there's those bits as well, they were a gang, they were mates, they were a family, and, you know, and obviously...
Yeah, really supportive.
Really supportive, but he did come back too early because he did an American tour, which he found very difficult. And And I don't really want to say too much about that, but obviously he really was able to portray all of them as mates. You know, they were mates first, rather than just being rock stars. They were just ordinary lads who happened to become really famous and have this massive career, pop career as a pop group. You know, and that really did come across. You know,
and I think, you know, all the people in the audience were all of a certain age.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
That, you know, they watched Top of the Pops in the early 70s. You know, as we did. And, you know, so some of the stories related to pop stars of the time, you know, which brought back lots of memories and it made you smile. And also because when he did the voices, I mean,
Noddy's voice was great.
Noddy's voice.
And actually Dave Hill as well.
Was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether he is from Wolverhampton, but those Wolverhampton... but he actually, I can't remember what, because Chaz Chandler was their manager. I can't remember whether he was Welsh, but I thought he sounded Welsh.
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell you
I couldn't tell you.
No.
But anyway, I thought certainly the band voices that he did, you knew who he was, which character he was when he spoke. You know, and I thought it was a fantastic piece, really, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it really brought, you know, because we all remember it. I mean, obviously, in varying degrees of sort of detail, but it was, you know, something that we were all aware had happened, and he brought it to life.
He did really bring it to life.
He really did, and I mean the fact that it's just him.
Yeah, on stage. with just a snare drum, and I have to say, when he hit the snare drum, it was really loud. I mean, I know what a snare drum sound, you know. I know how loud a snare drum can be, but he did really hit it, actually. You know, there was a bit where he was actually playing, where Don was trying to get he started playing again after his injuries. You know, but what I didn't realise as well was when he did the tour, he was actually still on crutches. So, and the roadies were helping him on stage with his crutches behind the kit, and then he would play for 2 hours a night or whatever it was. Which was, you know, that's a phenomenal feat, really. You
so
know.
no, it was really interesting. And as we came out, there was somebody, I don't know, did he have a space lanyard on? Anyway, he was just filming, asking people their reactions to the production. And
he was part of this team.
And just as we went past one of the gentlemen, he was just saying that he'd found it really interesting and that he'd learnt things that he didn't know. That was the only piece I caught. So, I mean, it, you know, sort of similar reaction to us.
I mean, certainly, I mean, even if you don't know anything about Slade, if you're too young... and actually, the other good thing is we have little snippets of the music.
Yes.
And actually, that really helps to put it in context. They're only snippets, but, you know... it was good to have those. It was good to have those because you can hear them, and you can hear when the drums come in and all that, and because they talk about the song they were trying to record straight after the single they were trying to record straight after he'd had his injuries and when he was trying to recover, and so we had a bit about that, and then we got to hear a bit of it, which was actually I thought was really, those bits were lovely actually.
It's been really, you know, thought out. Very well put together.
How many stars?
Oh, a good 4 from me.
I think it's a good 4 from me too, actually. I'd say,
Try to love you, now I'm here. Take out things as I find them. Now I'm here, wasting time, thinking of me. Looking back on my life, wondering why.
That was Wondering Why there, and that pretty much completes this Edinburgh Fringe takeover of the Audiophile Radio Show. I hope you've enjoyed the last 2 hours of music and interviews and reviews. Normal service is resumed next month. Just as an aside, Jane and I hadn't realised that the title of the Wondering Why play was based on this particular song. And when we got back to Somerset, I was sorting out some vinyl records, and 2 singles popped out of one of the albums, and one of them was the Slade single, Original 45, and on the B-side was that particular track, Wondering Why. So it must have been fate. So thanks very much for listening. We'll see you all next month. We'll leave you now with a final track from one of the EMOM albums that's going to be coming out on the 6th of September. This is The Truth About Frank, live at EMOM. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
said to me now. I would like to hear about your laws, your political life, and your customs. Tell me everything. There may be something that we can usefully copy here in Brobdingnag. I should be delighted, sir, I answered proudly. Our king controls our 3 great countries, Scotland, Ireland, and England. We grow much of our own food, and our weather is neither too hot nor too cold. There are 2 groups of men who make our laws. One is called the House of Lords. They are men from the oldest and greatest families of the country. The other is called the House of Commons. These are the most honest, intelligent, and sensible men in the country, and are freely chosen by the people. We have judges to decide punishments for criminals, and we have a large army which cannot be defeated by any other in the world. While I was talking, the king was making notes. For several days I continued my explanation, and I also described British history over the last 100 years. Then the king asked me a large number of questions. These were some of them. How do you teach and train young people of good family? If the last son of an old family dies, how do you make new lords for the House of Lords? Are these lords really the most suitable people to make the country's laws? And in the House of Commons, are these men really so honest and intelligent? Do rich men never buy their way into this house? You say the lawmakers receive no pay, but are you sure that they never accept bribes? Then he asked questions about our law courts. Why are your trials so long and so expensive? How much do your lawyers and judges really know about the laws? How carefully do they decide between right and wrong? And why, he went on, are you so often at war? Either you enjoy fighting, or you have very difficult neighbors. Why do you need an army at all? You would not be afraid of any other country if you were peaceful people. And in the last 100 years, you've done nothing but rob, fight, and murder. Your recent history shows the very worst effects of cruelty, jealousy, dishonesty, and madness. I tried to answer the king as well as I could, but he did not think our system was a good one. No, my little friend, he said kindly but seriously, I'm sorry for you. You've proved to me that your country has nothing valuable to offer us. Perhaps once, in the past, your political life was adequately organized. But now it is clear that there is laziness and selfishness in every part of the system. Your politicians can be bribed. Your soldiers aren't really brave. Your judges and lawyers are neither reasonable nor honest. And your lawmakers themselves know little and do less. I sincerely hope that you, who have spent most of your life traveling, have a better character than most Englishmen. But from what you've told me, I'm afraid that your countrymen are the worst little nib.